One comment from this doctor gave the mother across the street the death sentence. Your child is obviously autistic. Autism? I don't know about that. She has early childhood schizophrenia. The mother obviously still doesn't understand and asks, will she get better when she grows up? But the doctor's answer was, she may never be able to talk. I'm afraid there's no set course of treatment. What I suggested was a nursing home, but this mother didn't believe me. She didn't want her daughter to spend her life like this, so she taught her daughter at home. Tempo. Try it, Mom. Mimi, Mommy, I know you can hear me. And so it went on for 12 years. Sarah finally raised her daughter to be able to communicate with people. She went to public school like a normal person, but Tamp's unusual behavior was always met with vicious teasing from her classmates. In response, Tamp would respond with her fists, but her behavior was so intolerable that the students and teachers could not tolerate it. In the end, Sarah had no choice but to be expelled. Sarah had no choice but to send her daughter to a special boarding high school. Fortunately for Tamp, it was here she met her mentor, Professor Sam, who changed her life. There was a horse in the school that wouldn't let anyone near it. She seemed to be able to read the animal's mind. From the first moment she saw the horse, she knew it liked to be held. Soon after, the horse died of an illness. Professor Sam reassured Tam, friends may die, but they live on in our hearts forever. Just remember them as they were at their best, and you can still see them. Temple's mind was enlightened by all the images of the horse, and describe it word for word. Can you keep everything you see in your mind? Sure, even everyday things like shoes? I can see all the shoes I've ever worn, and my mother's and everyone I've ever seen. You have 3 pairs of shoes, and one has a new sole. Sam was shocked to hear that Tamp was a genius visual thinker, but the other teachers didn't think so. They left Sam to teach the incorrigible child himself. In science class, Sam shows a video of an optical illusion. The 2 people in the video were standing in one corner of the room. The strange thing is that they are one big and one small, but when they switched places, they found the larger one had become smaller, the smaller one had become larger. The students in the room were surprised to see this. They all wanted to know what was going on. Sam told them it was an after-school assignment. Tamp, who loves science, was excited about it. Sam offered to give her extra credit if she could make a model. Tamp was so excited that she went around the classroom with chalk and a ruler to take measurements. Then she made numerous models out of cardboard boxes, but none of them worked. Temple went to the professor and asked him to give her some tips. Sam just said you have to consider all the details of the house. In an instant, Tempest had the right answer in her head. A few days later, she made an identical model for everyone to see. The moment she unveiled the construction of the room, the teacher and the students applauded from the bottom of their hearts. They finally recognized that Tempest was a genius like no other. She has a very special brain. For all the physical models that the professor proposed, Tamp had a very simple mind. Sam said that if she used her talent well, college would be a breeze. Tamp was a little confused. She didn't know what the point of going to college was. She looked at the cows on the side of the road and asked Sam if he had a subject for cattle. Sam replied that the subject was called animal husbandry, but no matter how much he encouraged Temple, she still didn't want to leave the area. Think of it as a door. Tempest, a door that opens up a whole new world for you. You just have to decide to go through it. These words opened the door to a new world for Temple. They also became the key to overcoming obstacles and difficulties in the future. For years later, she graduated with flying colors. In graduate school, she was assigned to a cattle ranch for a 1-week internship. The first day she arrived, she noticed that the cows were bellowing at different levels. She asked the manager what was going on. He said, "These cows like people. They like to gossip." But Tempe thought there must be a reason. Do you know what procedures a cow goes through before it is slaughtered? First, the cow has to reach 460 kilograms in weight. Then the whole body is disinfected and killed with insects. Finally, the cowboys are driven to the yellow road for slaughter. Tempe soon found out the problem. Although the cattle can swim, but when herded into the disinfection pool is likely to be tripped and drowned. If the rescue is not timely, a cow will be lost, and the cattle would spin in fear as the cowboys drove them down the road to hell. They end up in the slaughterhouse and leave with fear. Tempe felt that cattle should be respected as predators, so she decided to study the psychological activities of cattle. She wanted to make them grow and die happily before they become human food. Temple started with the sound of cattle bellowing. She conceptualized in her brain the alert range of the cattle. As soon as the keeper breached the warning line, the cattle's bellowing would change from soft to high, and the direction in which the cattle would duck when driven. Tempe drafted a paper on the subject, but the paper needed to be signed by the head of the cattle ranch before it could be approved. When Temple arrived at the cattle ranch, she was shut out, because inside are all male cowboys. Women are not allowed to enter. She had to drive back and watch for drivers who could get through. When she got out, she went to a used car market and traded in a hardcore pickup truck, and then Dirty himself disguised as a man successfully mixed into the cattle farm. But after all the trouble, the guy in charge rejected her. Do you believe this shit? Livestock are hunted animals, shouting that. No way. She had to leave in disgrace. Tamp came to a convenience store, but was blocked by an automatic door. The automatic door was a terrible guillotine to the self-absorbed Temple. She had to turn around and go to the convenience store across the street. Whenever she had free time, she would blend into the cattle farm to study the cattle. She even imagined herself as a cow. She crawled and recorded the various factors that cows encounter, such as light, shadows and reflections from puddles, etc. Another cattle ranch manager saw how hard Tamp had worked these days. She decided to sign the contract right away. He also suggested that she should go to the bull ring and observe. Tempest took the advice and went to the bull ring, but she saw the owner of the magazine by accident. Tempest wanted him to publish her paper, but her social fears got the best of her, and she swallowed her words. There was another door in front of her. She got up the courage to open it. As she walked, she told him about her research. Eventually she got a business card. Her excellent paper was published in the headline of the magazine as she had hoped. She became a regular visitor to the cattle farm in order to do more research. She produced paper after paper, and each time she made a splash. Soon she became a well-known figure in the industry. One day a farmer came in claiming that his designer had run away. He needed a design for a new disinfection tank. Tempest said yes. Her idea was finally ready to be put into practice. But the hardest part was how to get the cattle into the pond without drowning. Looking at the cows by the river, she suddenly got an idea. She drew up the design, and a new disinfection pool was born. You wouldn't believe it. This is a disinfection pool designed by an autistic person. A reporter from a livestock magazine came to interview after the successful construction. Tamp explained the process of disinfection pool to the reporter. The keeper simply stands outside the fence of the cattle guard, watching the cattle walk calmly against the curved wall. She also dug out steps where the water would go down, so that the cows are aware that they will not slip and fall. The other side of the stairs is a safe and secure place to enter. This saves unnecessary labor. It also ensures that each cow is safe. The visiting journalists expressed their amazement. This is a masterpiece, but on the first day of use, the cowboys made an unauthorized change. The curved walkway was made to allow the cattle to pass quickly. The steps were replaced with smooth steel plates. When Tamp put on his new clothes, wearing his proud cattle medals to the cattle ranch when several cows had already drowned, and the keeper blamed Tamp for the design problems. Tamp went up to check it out and lost control of his emotions. Cursed the breeder's foolishness killed the cattle. At night, Tempest drove all night to Professor Sam's house and told him, "We raise cattle for us to eat. This means we have to respect the animals. Nature is cruel, but we don't need it. I think you should design the slaughterhouse." Yes, she should have designed the slaughterhouse. The next day Tempest arrived at a large slaughterhouse. She spoke in an agitated manner, and the receptionist dismissed her as a psychopath. The security guard had her pulled out. Soon after she got the news that Professor Sam had died of an illness. Tamp didn't know what it meant to be sad, but remembered the professor telling her, "If you remember the good things that happen to the dead, they will live on in your heart." Tempest took her most important medal, the Order of the Ox. She placed it on the professor's body, and was ready to leave. Her mother went to comfort her, only to receive a hug from the daughter she never thought she'd see in her life. After Tempest opened a new door, she was finally able to get close to people. Perhaps it was divine providence that the convenience store across the street hadn't been open in a while. Tamp had to walk into the convenience store with automatic doors. On the way out, she held the bag tightly, but was afraid to go out. A kind lady made sure the door would stay open for her. Temple was able to walk out of the store without any problems. Coincidentally, this woman's child also has autism. Even more coincidentally, her husband was one of the shareholders of the home improvement store that Tempest was evicted from. The owner of the home improvement store. This amazing encounter allowed Temple to introduce her design to the shareholders. Thus a new humane slaughtering process was born. Then her mother brought her to hear a talk by an autism expert. But the expert's views were not shared by Tamp. She stood up and refuted the expert's words. "How old is your child?" "I don't have children. No, I have autism. I didn't speak until I was 4, but I now have a bachelor's and master's degree. I'm in a doctoral program." The parents were in an uproar. They seemed to see hope for their children in Tamp. "How did you get cured?" "I'm not cured. I'll always be autistic. My mother didn't believe I couldn't talk. When I learned to talk, she made me go to school. Manners and rules are important at school and at home. They were imposed on me. Mom knew I was different, but not inferior." That's when a lady handed her the microphone and wanted her to speak on stage. Tempe took the microphone, and a door appeared in front of her again. She got up the courage to open the door. Eventually Temple became a professor at a state university. She travels the world speaking about autism and the treatment of animals. Although autism will never be cured, but only by pushing past our limitations and rising to the occasion. Open a new door to welcome a beautiful world one after